As many of you know, the EEOC is the premier civil rights agency enforcing federal laws against job discrimination and harassment. I want to go back to one thing that Abdi said earlier, right at the beginning of his presentation. Every person in the United States has rights under the Constitution. It's worth repeating. Every person in the United States has rights under the Constitution. Flowing from the Constitution are various federal laws. One of them deals with employment. It's Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. That is the statute that we enforce, as well as the Americans with Disabilities Act, the Age Discrimination and Employment Act, and the Equal Pay Act, all dealing with employment discrimination, job discrimination, and harassment, based on race, color, religion, national origin, sex, age, and disability. One thing I want to emphasize, we're the federal government. Yes, we're the federal government, but our services are free of charge. That's something a lot of people aren't aware of. In emphasizing that, we protect persons, individuals, that's what our statute talks to. It stems from the Constitution. We're not looking at citizenship status. We're not looking at immigration status. In fact, immigration status does not matter. We do not ask for immigration status, and we do not share information with ICE or any other federal agency. In fact, undocumented workers are protected from discrimination and harassment by our laws. Since 9/11, our agency has gathered data nationwide on a new category, backlash employment discrimination charges related to the events of 9/11-2001 against individuals who are or are perceived to be Arab, Afghani, Middle Eastern, Muslim, or South Asian. In the past 9 years, 1,026 charges were filed under Title VII alleging 9/11 backlash employment discrimination. Discharge is an issue in 610 of those charges. Harassment is an issue in 434 of those charges. The EEOC found reasonable cause to believe that a violation of Title VII occurred in 139 of those charges, or 13.5%. On behalf of 153 individuals, EEOC has recovered $4,226,000 in monetary benefits through the administrative efforts of the EEOC. For a similar period of time, after filing suit in federal district court, the EEOC obtained an additional nearly $2 million in monetary benefits for 28 individuals in 11 separate cases. Let me qualify these numbers. In all likelihood, this is merely a tip of the iceberg. At the San Francisco District Office, we are very conscious of the factors that keep people from even coming to our offices. The first factor, fear and distrust of the government, associated with the folks conducting registration raids and deportation. I want to say we are not involved in it. As I said earlier, we do not share information with other federal agencies. We do not share information with ICE. Second factor, fear and distrust of the bureaucratic process. We hear from charging parties, will this be worth my time? Who will listen to my side of the story? The third factor, fear of retaliation. We hear from charging parties, it is so much more important that I keep working than seek justice. Or, I need to put food on the table. I don't have time to report the discrimination. We have faced these concerns also in other communities that we outreach to. And through our efforts partnering with community advocates like PARS, Asian Law Caucus, ACLU, and others, through presentations at churches and mosques, schools, community events, and by telling some of the stories of brave people who have come forward in mainstream and ethnic press, we seek to build trust and credibility. Just to tell you a few stories, in 2008, EEOC settled a discrimination and retaliation lawsuit against a Mendocino luxury inn. The EEOC suit charged that the inn fired an Arab-American restaurant manager of Moroccan descent after he objected to a customer's harassment. The manager defended his employee, a Tunisian waiter, from a customer cursing and making insulting remarks about the waiter. The following day, Albion River Inn management insisted that Haji, the restaurant manager, provide the customer with a written apology or resign. When he refused to apologize to the customer, he was terminated. The settlement provides $165,000 in damages to Haji, as well as significant remedial relief to prevent future discrimination or retaliation, such as establishing an internal complaint procedure, disseminating an anti-discrimination or anti-harassment policy, and training the workforce at Albion River Inn to prevent harassment. Another story, in March 2008, the 18-year-old female applied for a job stocking merchandise at the Abercrombie Kids store at the Great Mall in Milpitas, California. In accordance with her religious beliefs, she wore a colorful headscarf to her interview. According to the EEOC, the Abercrombie & Fitch manager asked if she was Muslim and required to wear a headscarf, then marked "Not Abercrombie Look" on the young woman's interview form. The EEOC suit alleges Abercrombie & Fitch refused to accommodate the applicant's religious beliefs by granting an exception to its look policy, an internal dress code that includes a prohibition against head coverings. That lawsuit is currently going on. It was just filed last month. There are other cases against Abercrombie & Fitch and other offices around the country for similar issues. In conclusion, let me urge all of you to work with the EEOC and PARS at getting to the root of the problem. Actions you can take. Know your rights and responsibilities. You have a right to work in an environment free of race and national origin discrimination and harassment. You have the right to request an accommodation for sincere religious beliefs. Speak up for yourself or for your coworker. Be proactive in setting the tone. There is no place for discrimination at work. And remember, the customer is not always right. Customer preference is never an excuse for allowing a non-employee to harass or discriminate against your employees. Let me emphasize, it is worth it to report to EEOC or the state fair employment practices agencies. You can make a difference. To quote from one of the people who reported harassment to us, "I spoke out about my work situation because no one should have to endure the harassment that I went through." It is through this kind of bravery that civil rights are fought for and won. File a complaint with the EEOC before the deadline of 300 days from the most recent incident of discrimination. And finally, our services are free of charge. Remember that. Our services are free of charge. Thank you.